Welcome to Chicago Edition Live, right after the Cubs game. They've been playing horrible, very, very horrible lately. Um,
Yeah, yeah, they have, man.
yeah, this is, I don't know what to say about them. It's not good to go live when your team been sucking lately.
It's kind of weird because in the regular seasons, the last 3 years, September's been their worst month too. You've seen them start playing their worst baseball at the end of a season. It's never good to do, especially if you're going to be a team going to playoffs. Where 3 years they went in playoffs, got knocked out right away. 2 years ago, get into the wild card, get knocked out. And then last year, the September swoon was just so bad that they didn't even make the playoffs.
Right. And we're just in the first week of September, and they, so the first game of the doubleheader against the Card, and you got to win these games against the Cardinals, which honestly, the Cardinals need to stop having games. They should have forfeited because of their whole COVID, and now they got so many double headers. But I digress. Back to the first game against the doubleheader. Uh, saying Hap hit a home run. Hap been doing good, especially off the leadoff spot. And
Yeah, he
then,
got hurt, right?
uh, did he get hurt the second doubleheader? Yeah.
He got
Well,
hurt in one of those games, and they don't. He's listed as now, I think, day to day.
yeah. And then so he was the only bright spot for that first game. And then I knew the game was over because we had bases loaded, no outs, and we manufactured 0 runs after that. We had 3 quick outs afterwards, and that was a major blow. And after that, I'm like, I'm done with this team. And then the Cardinals did what the Cardinals did: manufacture runs, got a lead. Only time we scored again was another home run by Hap. And then after that, and then the second game, I was like, they're not serious. I started watching today's game, and then it looked promising. And then Lester gave up that 3-1 shot to um, what's his name? What's the first
Paul
baseman?
Goldschmidt.
Yeah, Ball Smith. Yep.
He smashed that one way out
Yep.
there.
Yep. And then after that, I'm like, oh, here we go again. We left a lot of runners on base. We had a lot of opportunities to bring the game closer, and then they're just acting like they don't want it anymore. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think one of the other things too, you could start seeing the big frustration on the hitters' faces as well, and even their actions. You could see Javi Baez at the end there when he struck out. Yeah, it was a ball, but I think it's more just the season he's having has finally got him this way, and I think that's the biggest thing for the Cubs is they had that hot start where they were 16-8 and everything was rosy and all the other teams were doing so bad. They had built up such a big lead, but there definitely were question marks of, is this pitching staff going to be able to hold? When is this offense going to come? Because you were 16.
Right.
Bad streak going. It's going to be interesting to see what happens and how Ross, you got to have your new manager. He's got to step up here. Like when your team's doing bad, the manager's got to step up in some way. He's got to get a different motivation going. Got to get different mojo going in the locker room because right now, like I said, since that 16-8 start, Cubs are 7-12.
Right. Yeah. I think it was because I had them 10-15 their last 25 games, and then which is even worse if you break it down even smaller. But before that, they started off they had 13-2 or something. They started off the season. It was a crazy
Right.
night.
And you were getting big performances from guys like Alec Mills and Chatwood, guys you weren't really expecting to do that good. They were pitching so well, and now those guys kind of falling. But now you're also getting some pretty bad performances from Lester, the only pitcher other than Darvish, who's pretty much a Cy Young candidate that's doing his job most of the time, is Hendricks. But
Yeah. But Hendricks only had one bad outing, I think.
yeah, but then you also, you just got an unknown thing with the bullpen. You still don't really know who to use, who's going to come in. But I think it's more than anything, it's the offense. You can't be having Chris Bryant, you can't have Rizzo, and you can't have Baez all being bad at the same time. Like It's not going to help with this team. You can't do that and expect to win any division in baseball right now. Like you can't go on cold streaks for a long time with the way this season's set up. And a team finally now in the Cardinals has gotten to back up, and now it's only a 1.5 game lead for the Cubs. So it's going to be really interesting to see this next week or two how they react to a team actually finally behind them.
Right. We'll see. We'll see if that's why Ross was brought in here for we won't have these slumps. For he's supposed to be the guy to turn this around. We'll see what happens. At this point, like I said earlier, the Cubs suck. I had a lot of good points for them. Like they actually made some moves in the trade deadline. They got some depth in left-handed
The
reliever.
trade deadline, I thought the Cubs did the right thing. They didn't overpay for anybody. They didn't go out and get a superstar or anything, but they got pieces that made sense for a team that's going to be in the playoffs. But now with the way they're playing right now, if they're only going to be getting quality starts out of 2 of their 5 starters, and the offense isn't going to be producing more than like 3 or 4 runs, they might not even hit it again. Like I said, they might have the same thing that happened the last 3 years, like where they just pop right out. I mean, last year they didn't even make it. They stay on this way that they're playing.
Right. We're moving along to the White Sox.
Yeah, my Sox, I'm proud of them for going 5-2. They're first now in the AL Central without, anybody behind them or anything really. Like they're not tied or anything like they were the last time we talked. They're in first all by themselves. They have a half-game lead on Cleveland and a 1.5 game lead on Minnesota right now. But I will say this, even though they went 5-2, I'm still a little pissed off because they went only 1-2 against Minnesota. That's the big statement series that you got to win. You can't be going 1-2, and they played so sloppy in those 3 games that it does get me a little bit worried because right now, like the Sox are great when they're on, but then when they look sloppy like that, I don't know what to think, especially against a good team. What are you going to do in the playoffs? You're only going to be playing good teams. So it makes me a little worried because the only good team we've really beaten, we went 2-1 against you guys. But against Minnesota and Cleveland right now this year, we are under 500 against those teams. And we don't play them coming up this week. We got 2 against Pittsburgh and then 3 against, Detroit, which we've killed Detroit. We've killed Detroit and we've killed Kansas City, which is great. And I said that before the season. If you can do that good against all the really bad teams you play, you have a good chance of making the playoffs this year in a 16-game thing. But at the same point, I'm a little worried. How are they going to do against these good teams? The next time they play Minnesota, it's a 4-game series. They need to go at least 3-1 against them. If they don't, I don't know if I like their chances in the playoffs, really, because until they show me that they can beat some of these good teams in the AL, they're just a team that's beating the teams they're supposed to beat. They're handling them very well. They're destroying them. We own the Royals right now, and we own the Tigers. But if we can't beat Minnesota and Cleveland, it makes me a little worried going into the playoffs.
Right, yeah. If we can't, I guess. Well, they're doing what they're supposed to do, beating the bad teams, But they gotta, like you said, they gotta beat the good teams.
Right. And I mean, that's all great if they want to just get in the playoffs. But if they don't want to just get in the playoffs and then get knocked out and just be like, hey, cool, we made the playoffs. If they want to make some noise, they got to show that they can contend with some of these people, They got to show that they can beat them, that they can play with them in games. They're not going to make the errors that they made in the series against Minnesota. Because what I saw in Minnesota was a super sloppy baseball team that wouldn't beat anybody. They woke up and they swept the Royals 4 straight games. Give them credit. They're 4-game win streak. They're 26-15. They have the second best record in the American League. I love all that. I love the things that I see sometimes. But you got to show to me now the expectations have been risen. Like, okay, now we got to the point where we like the White Sox. We think they're good. But now we got to get to the point where we beat these good teams and we actually show them that we can stick with them. We're going to make some noise in the playoffs. Otherwise, we're just going to be one and done, and it's not going to matter.
Right. So moving along, the Chicago Sky had a tough game. They put up a good fight against the LA Sparks. They end up losing 80-86. Parker had 24 points, 10 rebounds. Quigley had 22, and Vandersloot, who I got as my MVP choice for the WNBA season, she had 15 assists. And then the other day, she broke the record, I want to say, 18 assists the other day against the Indiana Fever. So the Chicago Sky is still number one in the East. They've been doing their thing. They took a couple losses lately, you know what I'm saying? But they look in good position to make a run, and they might. Who knows? They might win the finals. They might take it to the finals. Who knows what happened? But
that's interesting. I didn't even know the Sky were good anymore, man. I thought they were still bad after they traded away Deladon. That's probably the last time I even followed them a little bit.
no, so they got some players.
They're actually a good team again, huh?
Yeah, and we got another big loss this year. It happened a few weeks ago. We lost the Shields, and she was injured, but she's a big part of the team as well. You probably know her brothers. Her dad played baseball.
The Lionel DeShields?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and her brother, the younger one, is in baseball, I think, right now.
Yep. And her is Diamond DeShield, and she plays for the Sky. She's pretty good. You got to check out the Chicago Skies, man.
Hey, man, that's good to know. Hey, man, I'm all things for Chicago. If they got a good WNBA team, I got nothing against that. It help with some of the pain. If, like I said, if my Sox do that bad and aren't good and get knocked out of the playoffs right away, and the way the Cubs are playing right now, and if the Bears season doesn't turn out like how we would like, then you got the Sky at least turn to for a little bit.
Right. Yeah, not much to talk about the Bulls. The Bulls still don't have a head coach. They're in the off season. Don't know what to do with the fourth pick.
Well, we'll get. Like I said, as some of more of these teams start falling, I think we'll see a little bit more movement on coaching. I mean, as you saw, the Nets made a move, so I think you'll start seeing a little bit more happen now that some of these teams get knocked out of the playoffs.
Right. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows who's even in charge of the Bulls? Is it still Paxson? Is it the new guy we signed? Is it the Rhinestones? Nobody knows. So.
I mean, I'm holding out hope that it's the new guy, and I'm holding that Paxson was telling the truth when he's going to take a step back, like when Kenny Williams did it with Sox and Rick Hahn took over, which that made me pretty mad on the ESPN broadcast today. I'm not going to lie. I wanted to throw my remote at the TV when Alex Rodriguez tried to say that Kenny Williams is the reason why the White Sox are getting back. I don't think he realizes that Kenny Williams isn't doing anything anymore. And the reason the White Sox have gotten back to good is because he took a step back and actually let a real GM do his job in Rick Hahn. It had nothing to do with Kenny. He just let the guy that he hired do his job. So ESPN, get your stuff straight when you talk about the White Sox, okay?
Right. Yep. Andrew said lower marketing. Yep, he's a beast. He's just.
Is he?
I like, again, Jim Boland tried to make him. He tried to put a square peg into a circle hole, and obviously that doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? I learned that at the age of 2.
But I mean, I don't know if we can say he's even a franchise guy anymore. We're not gonna know. The damage that was done to this kid for the last 2 years, I don't know if it's even going to be repairable. We'll see with the new head coach and everything, but I'm worried about that. And I will not be shocked if they try to shop him on the trade deadline and let him go somewhere else. And I think it might be best for that kid for his career.
If he goes somewhere like with Greg Popovich, like that kid's going to be an instant Hall of Famer.
Hey, and I'm all for it. I'm saying, I think it's best for him that he might look at this aspect. I mean, he's probably over the moon that they got rid of Boylan and all the stuff that he tried to do with him. But at the same point, I just don't know if it's repairable. The last 2 years, they messed that guy up, and he did not look the same. So if they get a fresh coach in, I'm all for keeping him and trying him. But if he looks bad in those first 20 games, you got to put him on the block and see if someone still sees the potential in him.
Right. Well, earlier today, Lou Brock passed away. He was a Chicago Cub. He started his career with the Chicago Cubs, but he's known for being, the other team, the Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals. Not
One of the
gonna,
best Cardinals ever, man.
yeah, that's what he's known for. But don't forget, he was a Cub first, and you know how Cubs are. They just let the great ones go all the time.
Well, the Cubs were misusing the guy. They didn't let him run.
Yeah, I know. And when he retired, he led. When he one of his accomplishments, he was the all-time steals leader at 938. Obviously,
Still is for the NL.
yeah, for the NL, but obviously Ricky Henderson broke that record. You're saying also when he also had over 3,000 hits, he was the first ballot Hall of Famer. It's like this guy was amazing. And again, let's just get past this. Baseball lost another legend.
Yeah, I mean
Cardinals used them right.
right. They're dropping like flies right now, man. Tom Seaver last week,
Yeah.
and he ended his career with the Sox, not known for being with Sox. He did get his 300th win when he was with us, but he's Mr. Met, and he was one of the best pitchers of all time. So they're dropping. I mean, they're getting up there in age and all that, and it's sad to see them go. But let's remember how good they were. Just you guys need to, people that haven't seen them, go back, watch some Lou Brock tape. Go back, watch Tom Seaver, man. They were fantastic.
Yep. And who would you have so we normally do a player in the spotlight. Who you got your player in the spotlight this week?
I'm gonna do one that a lot of people have been complaining about to me about as Sox fans, and that's Yasmani Grandal. Everybody's been complaining about him, but this guy's been hot lately. He's hitting 380 this past week. He's got a home run, 4 RBIs, 5 runs, and I don't think people understand how good he's been, even just not looking at his hitting numbers. The pitching staff has all gotten better this year. All of them. The bullpen, the starters, they have all been better. And it's got to be a little bit due to Yasmani Grandal because he is so good at placing pitches. And I also want to say that he gets on base a lot, and people overlook that. But he's been taking walks the whole time this year, and he is third right now among all catchers in on-base percentage. So anybody that is complaining about Yasmani Grandal, yes, he got off to a really slow start, but if you watch him over the last month, he has been one of the best catchers in all of baseball.
Right. And then my pick is going to be, I already talked about it a little bit earlier, is Vandersloot. Saying she broke the assist record. She got another 15. And even though we lost, she got another 15 assists. She got that offense moving like a well-oiled machine. She is, in my opinion, and my choice, front runner for MVP for the WNBA. And if you guys want to see really good point guard play, and just in NBA, WNBA, and just in basketball in general, you got to check out some Chicago Sky games and check out how she runs her offense and how she plays point. It's amazing. It's amazing. And then next topic is the Chicago Bears named Mitch Trubisky as a starting quarterback. So
no big shock to me and you.
Yeah. What's the over-under? How many games he'll be able to start?
I am going to be optimistic, and I am going to say that he's going to start the whole season.
The whole season? Ooh, that's a bold prediction.
I know. I am going to be optimistic about the Bears and say that I feel like them getting Nick Foles lit that fire underneath him, and he's ready to show the best Mitch that he can be. And I'm really hoping that since the Bears didn't have as much crazy media stuff going on and all this stuff, they got a little dose of reality last season. I'm hoping they're going to get back to the basics of 2 years ago. And I think Mitch is going to run that offense great like he did. So that's my prediction.
Okay. My prediction is 8 games. They're going to pull them. Then we're going to have Foles for a couple games, and then they're going to throw Mitch back in there. But by that time, the season's going to be over. And it's not going to be – and Mitch is not going to get pulled for anything that he did wrong. He's just going to get pulled for everything that Nagy does wrong. But they need a scapegoat, and Mitch Trubisky is going to be the punching bag.
And that's what it was last year. I thought he got too much of the blame. But, I mean, I did talk with some people that agreed with us that Nagy was a big part of it as well. I thought it was 50-50 last year, Nagy did not coach him up well, and Mitch didn't play well, really, other than a couple games. But I'm going to be optimistic this year, and I'm hoping that they didn't have the hype train that they did after the 12-4 year where they felt like they were the 85 Bears. Then I'm going to hold out hope that this team is ready to win and not care about media or any of that other stuff. They're just going to get back to playing football like they did that way 2 years ago.
Right. Well, you know how I feel about Nagy. It's like, for me, it's like 90% of the blame is on him, or probably 95% of the blame, because not only Mitch did bad after he had a year where he went to the Pro Bowl, but everybody, the running game did bad, the offensive line did bad, the wide receivers looked like they was running the wrong routes, or there was no chemistry or communication between the quarterback and the wide receivers, regardless who you put behind center. It was either Mitch or Chase Daniels. The running game was non-existent. The blocking assignments was horrendous. There was one game against the Saints where Cameron Jordan went free. Nobody put an arm, looked at him, even attempt to block Cameron Jordan. Like, he's the only pass rush the Saints got, and you didn't even attempt to block him. And then we go back on the other side of the field, go on defense, and that regressed so bad. It's like, there was no bright spot on the defense, and that's supposed to be the Bears' strong suit last year. And
For sure.
Yep. And then to go into this offseason, we didn't do nothing to improve the team. We didn't make no moves. The way we drafted make no sense. We have now we got 5 tight ends on a 53-man roster. You spend money on Burton, then you cut him. You spend a second-round pick on Shaheen, then you cut him. You spend another second-round pick on the guy from Notre Dame, Komet, and then you spend a lot of money on Jimmy Graham.
And yet started on that terrible Jimmy Graham contract.
And at this point, like, you have no clue what to do with tight ends, because on top of that, if you spend all this money on this and you wasted a high draft pick on this position, and then you still have 3 other reserves, you only need 2 tight ends. And average NFL team has 2 to 3 tight ends, and we have 5. So now we just wasted 2 roster spots for a position you have no clue what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I said that when they drafted Cole Kmet, it made no sense. It reminded me a lot when we drafted Mitch, when we played Glennon all that money, and then you go and draft QB. Why are you paying these free agents money and then go and draft that same position? Don't pay the free agents the money if you plan on drafting that, is what I'm saying, and then you don't have to worry about it. But you can't pay the free agent money and draft a rookie. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't help your team.
Right.
But you know how I feel about Pace. I think he's overrated, and I don't like most of his picks. Like I said, if they're bad this year, I think him, and I'd be okay with Nagy getting fired. If they're bad this year, I want a complete overhaul. I want everybody gone.
Okay. Who would you like as a GM, or who would you like as let's just make it simple. Who would you like as a coach?
As a coach, I don't even know. I got to see how they play this year. I got to see how they look, and then I would have to decide on what would be the best plan of action. Because if they're bad again this year, then they got to look at trading Khalil Mack too, and he's your best player. But at that point, you've wasted all the time that you were going to have with him, and it's time to go straight up rebuild again. You got to build from the ground up, and you got to trade the best players. So I would want a coach that's going to be able to develop young talent, because that's the way I would be going if they have a bad season.
Right.
Now, I don't have anybody in mind right now. Like I said, if Nagy has a good season, I'm okay with him staying. If he has a bad season, I'm okay with him being fired, regardless that he won Coach of the Year 2 years ago. I don't care. If you're bad again this year, after last year you were supposed to be a Super Bowl favorite and you didn't even make the playoffs, if you're bad again this year and don't even make the playoffs again, then I think it might be time to look to go. But I also would want Pace gone too. I don't really have like a GM just off the top of my head who I'd want, but I haven't liked a lot of the moves that Pace has done. And he tied himself to Mitchell Trubisky. And I'll say this, if Mitchell Trubisky does the thing that you're saying, we only plays 8 games and then gets pulled, well, then Mr. Pace, your job was tied to that guy, and he's done now. Yeah. So your job is done, and you have to get out of town.
Yeah, I think Pace's job is done for the simple fact that he hired Matt Nagy. Because I honestly believe we could win with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback with the team we had 2 years ago or the team we had last year. I, saying the way the NFL is structured, if Mitch Trubisky had was in the right system or had the right coach, we could have made the Super Bowl, or we could have won the Super Bowl.
I 100% agree. I was high on him last year. Got to see him have one good game against Cowboys. That was it all year. That was the only game that you saw full 60 minutes of good football from both sides. And you actually saw good coaching, good moves. Like, that was the only time they kept a good game plan and they adjusted when they had to. But other than that, it was terrible. And I totally agree with you on that. But I'm going to be optimistic this year. And this is my last year for him, really. Got to see what happens, I don't know what's going to happen the first week. I don't know what's going to happen with a lot of these games the first week of the NFL season this year, just because I didn't get to see anybody in preseason, so I don't have anything like go off of except camp reports. But I'm going to say that I think the Bears eke out a close victory against the Lions. I'm going to say 24-20 is going to be my final, and the Bears are going to win.
You depending on the kicker to make a field goal?
No, he doesn't have to make a field goal because he's going to win by 4.
No, I'm just saying if it's 24-20, that means we kick the field goal.
There's 3 touchdowns in a field goal, my friend.
Yeah, I don't even see us making field goals.
The 3 touchdowns will be enough because it'll be 21-20 without that. But yes, I'm going to say we're going to make 1 field goal in the game, but it's not going to be a game winner. They're already going to be winning at that point.
Okay. I don't know. Me personally, Nagy never has the team ready for week 1. Doesn't matter who we play. Nagy's not known for making adjustments. The Lions, the Lions do what they're going to do. We already know what they're going to do. They do the same thing every year.
Stafford is back, healthy.
Yep. And I see the Lions winning this game. I see the Lions winning 20 to. Well, let me see. I think we'll score no more than 10 points.
You're gonna say 20-10?
No, I'll be like 17-10.
17-10. Touchdown game. Okay. I mean, I could see that. I don't know what's going to happen with Montgomery, if he's going to play or not, but I don't trust the defense on Detroit's side to stop him. And I think that the Bears offense will do just enough. I think the defense will hold down the Lions offense just enough, because I know Matthew Stafford, when he was playing last year, he was killed. He had about 19 touchdowns before he went down, and he had already thrown for like 2,500 yards. So I know that he's got skills, and he's one of the better arms in the whole league. So I'll give them 20 points, but I'm going to say the Bears eke it out 24-20.
Okay. Nah, I don't know. I don't know about that, because you just brought up the running game. We don't have a running game. We don't have Montgomery, and the other 2 running backs are actually wide receivers, or the way Nagy used them, they're wide receivers. So,
right. I mean, he hasn't been ruled out yet. So I'm hoping more on I told you, I'm being optimistic with the Bears.
Right.
Being a little different to start. I'm going to be optimistic till I see some games. Then I might change my tune. But right now, I'm going to be optimistic for this season till I see some games.
You sound like a Cubs fan pre-2016.
I just want to be optimistic about the Bears since I didn't hear that much about them. I'm hoping that was the problem last year. But, we don't know yet. And I didn't get to see any preseason, so I can't really go off of that. The first game is really going to tell me a lot on what I think is going to happen. It told me a lot last year, and that's how I got turned off right away from what I saw. So could be the same thing this year, but I'm going to be optimistic. I think they beat the Lions 24-20.
Okay. And all right, that's pretty much it for Chicago sports. Jay Rizzo, where can the people find you at?
You can find me at RizzoRants.com. We put up about 3 to 4 posts about Chicago sports, NBA, MLB, and fantasy.
Okay. And, Ball Jr., you know what I'm saying? You always can catch us on here. You can catch us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. On that, we are done and out.